I am in one of my favorite places on the planet, Moab, Utah, with the 2026 Honda Passport Trailsport. You guys, as you can see, this is a camoed vehicle. You are not going to be able to see what's under this right now. And this video is not really going to be about the fit and finish, about the shape of the vehicle. Really what this is going to be is pure off-road driving dynamics. So saddle up, buckle in. We're going to get to some trail driving and have some fun. So there are a couple of things about the exterior that I'm going to be able to talk about, but these only pertain to how this does as an off-road vehicle. So as you can see, there are tow hooks, recovery points under here. You have an optional sort of scuff plate here, which is awesome, but you do get steel underbody protection underneath the transmission and the oil pan. So this is more of a close-up look of the skid plate that is underneath the front of the Passport. And you guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's formidable, it's heavy. A couple of things about this: it's bolt-on, so you can replace this if for some reason you do bash it a little bit too much. The other thing I'm gonna say is this little piece here is actually a recovery point. And if you notice that this is a smooth edge here, this is for a strap so that if you attach it here, it's not a sharp edge and it's gonna rip up your strap. So you not only have these two recovery hooks, you have a third one right here. This is kind of the business, and it's really heavy. So if we come around here too, you're gonna also see that the valve stems on these off-road wheels are a little bit depressed in. So if you do hit an obstacle, you're not gonna rip your valve stem off and have a real problem with your tires. The other thing I'm gonna mention is these tires. These are general grabber tires. This is a 31-inch tire, which is the largest production tire that Honda has ever put on one of their vehicles. So I think for off-roading purposes, I can't talk about on-road stuff right now. We can talk about that when we do the proper drive. But for off-road, if you are using this as a multi-purpose vehicle, I think this is a pretty good tire. When we come around here too, you have this other pretty killer option of rocker rails here. Normally this does not come on a normal crossover vehicle. So what this rocker panel is going to do is if you have something where your breakover angle is maybe not as ideal, it's not going to hit the body right here. But I also like how it's kind of right in and it fits flush with the body. And then we're going to come around here at the rear, and you're going to see that you do have another recovery point back here in your trailer hitch, which is awesome. Also, you're gonna see something that you do not see, which is your exhaust. So the exhaust tips are up underneath the vehicle, so they're hidden. So again, normally when you're off-roading, that has a tendency to be a low point on the vehicle and can kind of stop you up. That is not happening. Instead, you have this really robust piece here. You do have another skid plate. It's a 2.8 millimeter skid plate that covers up your fuel tank. I've already tried that out a couple of times today. Probably will have a scuff or two on it, but that thing is not going to bend. So as you can see, there's a lot on the exterior of this vehicle that is going to make it a lot more capable than any other just run-of-the-mill crossover. Talk 1 second about this hood scoop. While it looks really cool, I am going to say that it is non-functional. It's a little disappointing, but this is the only thing on here that is a design element. Every single other thing that you see is workable and adds to the capability of this vehicle. So another thing that's really important when you're doing off-road stuff is your geometry and dimensions. I do not have the information for the 2026. They're not giving that to me yet. What I can tell you is the numbers are supposed to be better than the current generation, which is 21.1 approach angle, 24.3 departure angle. But I'm super smart, because what I really wanted to do was I wanted to measure as far as ground clearance goes. So ground clearance on the previous one was 8.1 inches, and we're just gonna see and give me the tape measure, Lynn. Sorry, Liz. As I was saying, I'm not really allowed to know the numbers, but my best guess is that we're looking, again, probably at around 8.1 inches of ground clearance. We'll have to wait and see on those actual numbers. As far as exterior color is concerned, in my opinion, I think Honda would be insane to not do something that was very similar to this orange. I do know that they have one currently on the Rebelle Rally that is kind of this lovely light sagey green. So I'm looking for those colors. We don't have anything official yet, but we should find out pretty soon. Something that Honda teased to us, so I can already talk about it, is these amber day running lights. You guys, I think these are really cool. They're super high vis, so you could definitely see them through the dust, but I also think that just on the regular road, these are really going to differentiate the car, and they look super cool. Okay, so this is another pretty cool feature. This is the Trail Watch camera, and this will help you see what is in front of you. And I think this is a pretty good segue to me going inside and showing you what you can do in there. So one of the really cool things about that Trail Watch camera is this. These two wider strips here will tell you exactly what your tires are going over, and then this smaller line here is the body of your car. So you know if your body is going to hit an obstacle, and you know exactly where to place your tires. This works under 15 miles an hour. So if you go faster than that, this is going to switch off and you just have a regular view. So let's talk about powertrain for a second. You are still going to get the 3.5 liter V6 that is currently in the Passport. However, it is going to get a little bit more power. We don't know those numbers yet. Right now we're at 280 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. Peak torque comes in pretty low, so you're still gonna get that early grunt, which is great for off-road driving. That engine is now going to be mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. 10 speeds feels kind of like a lot. I'm not able to drive this on road, so I don't really know what that's gonna be like. What I can tell you is this: you're still gonna have your paddle shifters here. So if you are in any one of your drive modes, there is a drive and then there is a sport version of that drive mode, and you are going to be able to use paddle shifters in order to get it to the ideal gear that you want. So the jury is going to be out on that. I honestly have not been putting it in sport out here, and I've never really felt like, oh, I need to downshift to get a little bit more power. So at first blush, I'm not disappointed. So the real magic when it comes to this Passport, and I said it with the last generation, is Honda's IVTM torque vectoring system. 70% of your total torque is going to be able to be shifted to your rear axle. That's pretty impressive. Even more impressive than that is it can then shift 100% of that 70% to either the back right or left tire. So what that means to you when you are out here off-roading is, if there is a tire that is not getting, you've got a tire up, which you've seen we can totally do in this, that the other tire is going to get a lot more of that grip, so that you will be able to get out of that situation that you are in. I think that this is as close as you can get to a rear locker with a torque vectoring system. This kind of stuff is not something you probably would do in your own vehicle, but this is just a demonstration of what the Passport Trailsport is capable of doing, which to me is pretty remarkable. Again, we've got all kinds of protection under here, which is great. I'm doing a little left foot braking just to make it nice and hopefully smooth. And watching this camera here.
Yeah, baby. Wagging the tail. Fire in the air.
Yep. Keep going. Turn this way. Yep. Turn it down.
Nice.
Yep. Doing great. Keep it slow. Are we going to turn this way? Yep.
Nice job.
Good.
So nice and smooth, nice and slow. That's how you want to take those obstacles. But just pretty incredible exactly what this thing can do if you have a good spotter and you choose a good line and your tire placement is right on. The gauge cluster here, again, I'm not allowed to show you a whole bunch of it, but I am going to tell you this. When you go into trail mode, you have a bunch of really interesting information here. First of all, you have an elevation indicator. So I know right now that I'm at 4,588 feet, which I think is super cool. You also have an inclinometer, so you can see the pitch and the yaw, the percentage of your angle, the degrees that you are at. That will come on as soon as you put it into your trail drive mode. Now, there are other drive modes on this. I can't tell you how many there are. I can't tell you what they are, but the trail one is pretty cool. Hill descent control also comes on the Passport Trailsport. This is the first time that it comes on the Passport. And right now I'm at 4 miles an hour. You can hear it actuating, you can hear it kind of doing its job. I'm not a big personal fan of hill descent control. I prefer to kind of do the driving, but I'm gonna say this, for someone who's either new at this and wants to really focus their energy and attention on what's happening here, it can actually be a really helpful system.
Yes, I think the Passport Trailsport gets improvements that make it more substantive on the trail. But I'm also going to say this. If you're serious about wheeling and you want a vehicle that can do tough stuff a lot, I think you're better served buying a proper 4x4. However, if you want to go out and do some weekend warrior adventuring, then this can handle some formidable trails. Its main challenge is going to be the lack of ground clearance. And it would have been really nice to see a little bit more of a lift on this particular trim, like the Subaru Outback Wilderness.
So I cannot talk about the interior. I mean, what you guys see behind you is, I don't know, I'm not showing you anything, so I don't know what you're looking at. But I will say this, I can talk about visibility, and right now I'm kind of loving the visibility out of this thing. We have a little bit of a squared off front end, so it's not super easy to see over as far as sight lines go. But again, this front trail watch is super helpful in that regard. I can just take a peek here and know exactly where it is that I'm heading. The cabin also feels pretty quiet and pretty chill. There's good sound dampening in here, pretty comfortable. But I can't talk about anything else, sorry. You have to come back later for more. When it comes to the competitive set here, you know, there are some other crossovers that try and do that kind of, you know, off-road capable situation. The one that comes to mind for me immediately is, of course, the Ford Bronco Sport. I'm gonna let you sort of decide if they even look alike. But Subaru, of course, has the Outback Wilderness. So there are plenty of other competitors in this segment that do have an off-road minded version of their vehicles. Also, if you're interested, click on the link above. Kelley Blue Book can help you find a fair purchase price on any car that you want to buy. So no, it's not 100% everything that we need to or are going to know, but from the recovery hooks to the skid plates, to the torque vectoring system, to the wheels and tires, you guys, this is legitimately something that doesn't have to just take you to your adventure, but can be part of your adventure, which we love. If you're looking for a 2-row SUV that can get you out there, definitely put the Honda Passport Trailsport on your list. There's going to be a lot more to talk about on this one, so stay tuned.